Hi guys, Alastair down here at Lytham Golf Academy, and today we are going to be testing the new PXG 0811 driver. Okay then guys, so we've got the PXG 0811 driver. Now, certainly when you look at it from the top, it's just kind of matte black. It's kind of a little bit of a mark just on the middle, just kind of help you find where the middle of the club face is, you know, line that ball up. Not really an alignment aid. We've got a little bit of adjustability around the neck, so we've got the 9-degree driver and it can go anything up to or down 1.5 degrees. It's really when you get the sole of the club that you see this kind of very different look. So you've got 16 tungsten screws, the silver ones are the heavier ones, and you can position those differently around the head to help with high launch, low launch, draw bias, fade bias. But this is where the fitting process becomes so important. You can really get this dialed in so well and make sure that your tee shots are absolutely perfect. But the materials in the head, you know, they just don't spare any expense. You've got an ultra thin titanium alloy on the face, so they're able to strip weight away from the face, reposition it around the head to give a really high moment of inertia. So it's going to be very forgiving. Those off-center hits, it's going to be nice and accurate, depending on how poor a swing you put on it. But you know, just looks amazing from here, and let's hit some shots. Okay then guys, so I've got this driver that's got the 9-degree head, but I've got it down to 7.5 degrees. I've got all the kind of heavier tungsten weights towards the front, so low launch. I hit it off a nice high tee anyway, and we've got the hazardous yellow 6.0. So certainly for me, you know, as when we looked at the club head, there's a lot of movable technology in here as to kind of how we can dial it in on custom fit. But certainly when you listen to or you read the PXG website, a huge amount of this is about kind of high MOI. So for me, this sounds like it's going to be a very accurate driver. Now, obviously that's down to how I deliver the golf club, but I think they're talking about on those off-center hits, we shouldn't see too much dispersion. Not a huge amount on the website about kind of, like some manufacturers do, promising kind of massive distances and kind of 20 yards extra and things like that. So I think I've got this, I've done a little bit of testing beforehand, just trying the weights in some different places, and this is the one that generally suited me the best. So we're going to hit 6 balls, real balls on GC2, some closed data, and we're going to give you some feedback as to whether the 0811 might be something going in your bag for 2017. So certainly down behind the golf ball, it's just incredibly classic looking, just a matte black head, you know, nothing trying to be super sexy from the top, you know, and I quite like that. You know, there's different drivers that I think are maybe more appealing from the top, but very, very classic looking. Obviously when you look underneath, completely different. But let's hit some shots and kind of see how this performs. So just trying to turn over a little bit, and a decent little start, 285. Now, for the first one on the video, I think that was good. And certainly when I did a little bit of testing before, and I'm going to do a video on this as to how moving the weights around really changes the performance of the driver, because I saw some very, very different numbers. But this is just when you get set up, what you can be expecting from this driver. Almost right out the toe. Really, really poor strike on that one. So we might take that one off at the end. And as we'd expect, I don't think that had a huge amount of spin on it. Again, a good solid one. Very, very straight. Getting out there. So I will apologise if you can hear an aeroplane. This one just going over top at the moment, but let's go again. Again, a good solid strike. I mean, I think the driver feels lovely, feels very, very solid. Very solid. And what I kind of like about this is, there's a lot of technology in it, but the big thing with PXG is they're talking about kind of no time constraints on designing a club. There's no kind of financial constraints on what they're going to do manufacturing. The fact that the tolerance levels are kind of zero, so every single club, whether it be driver or iron or whatever, is absolutely perfect when it comes off the production line. And bar that one that I nearly missed strike wise, loving the looks, loving the feel. Really feels like if I put even a half decent swing in it, like I'm going to hit a lot of fairways with this driver. And let's go one last one, and then we'll have a look at some numbers and look at performance. I was right off the bottom that one. So not a good one. Okay then guys, so let's look at some numbers, and I'm going to look at the averages with all 6, and then I'm going to take the 2 very, very poor strikes off and look at some averages from there. Okay, so we look at average ball speed of 153, so a little bit down, but certainly the second one really dragging that down. 10.6 launch, so decent with a 7.5 degree driver. An overall spin of only 2.1. Now there was a very high one and a very low one on there to give 246 and 277. But if the one that was right off the toe, if we take that off, and the one right off the bottom was a lot more off the bottom than I would normally see. So I think they'd be more solid ones. So 154 ball speed, probably a little bit back on where I see with some drivers. I would argue my club head speeds maybe just a 2-3 mile an hour slower as well. It is cold down here today. But we're looking at a 10.5 degree launch, 2000 spin, so nice and low. A little bit flatter trajectory than I would normally, only 24 yard peak height. I'm normally kind of up around that 30 yards, but 261 carry and 290, very, very healthy with a good solid strike. Okay then guys, so we've looked at some numbers. 0811, what was the feedback? On the good strikes, and I'm not saying the 4 that stayed up there were absolutely ripped, they were just good solid strikes. Numbers wise, I was really impressed with that, because honestly, I was expecting that to be nice and accurate, on the slight miss hits, and we saw that the 4 that I didn't nearly miss, I would have hit every fairway. They were great. But because there's no kind of big hype around how far this hits it, I don't know, I was kind of expecting it to be a little bit further back than that. But that for me is the real importance of getting fitted. I know there that I've got the weights in the right place, I've got the loft where I need, I've got a good shaft in there that I know performs, so that I got decent launch. Maybe could have launched it a little bit higher myself with technique. Adding loft would have added a bit more spin. So could have maybe launched it a little bit higher, would have given me a little bit more carry, but spin down around 2000 was really, really good. So general feedback then. I think PXG are really creating a stir in the marketplace. I mean, I've already done a set of the 0311T irons, and they were lovely, lovely. And I've got the other irons coming on my channel shortly. But PXG are kind of tackling the golf market from a different angle, I think, than the other manufacturers. Price point, it's different in every country, but this is going to be a little bit above what a lot of the other manufacturers are pitching at. But when they're talking about no time constraints on design, no expense spared on R&D, getting that perfect club out there every time, you are going to pay that little bit premium. But I kind of want to pay that bit of premium. I just know everything about that is absolutely spot on. And if I put 5 of these drivers next to each other, they're going to look exactly the same, and you just don't see that from anyone else. But does it tick the boxes on looks? Yes. Not super sexy, but very, very traditional. Certainly from the bottom, I mean, that just looks incredible. Feel-wise is very, very solid. Very solid, and it's not too loud. So loud kind of, I think, makes people feel like they're hitting it further. You know, for me, I just want to see how it performs. So looks and feel great. Once you get set up properly, the performance is there. So if you're in the market for a new driver, you definitely want to be trying this. You might not be sold on it, but you definitely need to try it. PXG, like I said, causing a stir. We've got them down here at Lytham Golf Academy and at St Anne's Old Links. Get yourselves down, get fitted, possibly a new driver in the bag for this year. So guys, as ever, really appreciate you taking the time to watch my videos. Follow me on all the social media platforms. Subscribe to my channel if you don't already. Hopefully catch up with some of you guys down here in the future. Stay in contact.